if there is no fashion, you can't do business. If there is no business, you can't do fashion, right? So there has to be some creative vision to whichever brand you're working with. Without that glamour, that glitz, things are not going to be sold, right? I don't know if I would say this, but women are more picky, right? They are,
Yeah.
I would say not picky, but I would say they are very detailed. They want it in a certain way, or they have references. They know what they want, right? Men are quick, okay? They just want to get it done. Nowadays, at this age and time, men have become equally particular or
Completely
rather
see
or
that.
rather more particular than women nowadays. It's called Asian Hairdressing Festival, which happens under this association. They invite everyone from Asia. All these different brands participate. They put up their stalls, and in one part of the thing, the competition happen. One part of the thing, there's an expo happen. It's like one fashion week for 2 3 days. Like everyone is very well dressed.
Yeah.
It's like all sort of street fashion comes under one. Like it's amazing. Like it, just like wow. I worked in Lakme Fashion Week, so obviously it's full of celebs only. Celebs, because they are called celebs, they need a little more attention than normal person.
Yeah.
So you need to know how to work around.
Hello everyone, I am Toshika
I'm Akhila.
and welcome to At the End of the Day podcast where we cover unconventional career paths and unconventional individuals. Today we have Shailesh Moolya with us. Shailesh is one of the leader in the hairdressing industry. He has worked with organizations like Urban Company, Lakme, and not just that, he is a very an honest, straightforward, and at the same time a very fun person to be around. And we are very, very excited to have you with us here, Shailesh.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, so getting directly into it, Shailesh, how would you like to introduce yourself and could you take us through your journey?
How would I like to introduce myself? You guys have already introduced me, and I think that was a very interesting introduction. Uh, so I'm Shailesh, and I'm originally from Mangalore, but born and raised in Mumbai. Um, I was never a bookworm. I was never good in studies. I was very inclined, always from the childhood, towards creative stuff. So that was very clear in my head that I never wanted to become an engineer or a doctor. And it so happened that when I in my teens, we didn't have any sort of guidance to what right now we have all this, like we're doing a podcast or we have internet or we have Google. During our time, we didn't have. So we had no sort of guidance to pick up a career which we desire. So as I was very unconventional and I was also a rebel, sort of rebel. I would never agree to something which I feel is not right. My nature is that such I would not take unjust thing on a face value. Like I would not accept it. So being a rebel, I wanted to do something else. So someone told me like, why don't you, because you're good in drawing, painting and sketching and all. So why don't you get into JJ School of Arts and see what you, again, there was no guidance. So switched to, then I had to look out for a job uh, to support myself and my family as well. And my father passed away in between when I passed out my last year of college of my graduation. I didn't complete my graduation. So my first job was in a paging service operator. And then from there I went into IT industry. Then somewhere I read about makeup. And because makeup I could relate, I wanted to do something in painting, drawing, sketching. So I thought, okay, makeup is something different. And I did enjoy like, painting and there's so much lines and precision and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, let's go see this. Looks interesting. I went to this uh, academy somewhere in Law Parel it was. So they are also it was their first time bringing this international school of makeup here because they didn't know. Like it was again not a very organized market. So there were no vacancy coming for makeup artists there. So then we asked, how do we go? What do we do next? So they said, okay, now you have to go back and assist some makeup artists. So I did assist a couple of makeup artists, but again, it was not what I expected. Is because you won't get paid. You were like an assistant. You had to shell out money to travel wherever, and you would not get paid because you were just a entrant. You were just a trainee, and you had to be on sets at wee hours, like it might be 2 in the night shoot till morning 10. So it was not as fancy as it seemed to me earlier. The person who I was working with, I told him like, I don't think this is something which I visualized or I picture. And plus, I don't get paid. Everything I have to pay from my own pocket. So he said, okay, fine. Then I think your problem is traveling. Why don't you get into hairdressing? So that was the link for hairdressing where it started. So he said, why don't you get into hairdressing? Because hairdressing is something where you are stationed at one place, you're in a salon, and you go every day, you do your work, and you come back. So, your traveling part is cut down and you will get paid decent. So, hairdressing also was creative because it is also about color, right? You do hair color, you do cuts, you change the person's look entirely in a jiffy as compared, as compared to skin. Why skin therapists are not considered as creative is because in skin you don't see anything immediately. Even if you do a facial, you probably see a little fairness happening. Besides that, you don't see much, right? But in hair, you see like an instant change or an instant makeover, and that really lits up someone's face if it is done well. I used to always wonder how the hair used to be all on point every time. So 2002 or 2003, I joined the academy. And it was, for that time, it was pretty expensive. It was, I think I paid about a lakh that time. I performed really well while I was interning. And I had taken this loan from my mother. Okay. So I didn't want to take loan outside. So my mom had given me loan. I told her that I'll repay you, don't worry. So coming back to hairdressing course, I did my course. I performed really well. I was the one who was like nobody was put on floor and given clients in 6 months, but I was given clients in 6 months. Post that, it's only been an uphill for me from a junior to a senior to a salon director to art director. I mean, I achieved it all in that in my salon, and then I moved on to after my salon stint for about 5-6 years on floor. Then I moved into a different league of training, that is academy. Then I joined Lakme as a national lead for Lakme. This was in 2006 to 2008. So 2 years I was there. But that again was on a consultant role that time. So training happened and went back to Juice again because again Juice started its own academy that shut in between it, and so they wanted me to lead it. Uh, so on. So my journey has been being a trainer since then. And then, of course, companies like Lakme, Urban Company. Now I'm with Godrej. All these companies. I've been working with corporates. I've learned a lot from the corporate industry, which not many hairdressers get to experience, and have a nice balance in between being a hairdresser who's considered as very, very arrogant or creative or um, full of attitude, to being in corporate and balancing that act of how to work around corporate culture, presenting PowerPoints, doing your Excels. So this is not something which fits into a hairdresser's job description, but I've done it all, I would say. So, so that was all about me. I think it was a long introduction.
Uh, Shailesh, what does now, as a hairstylist and also a person who works in corporate, what does your typical day look like?
So typical day looks like hairstylist. I'm no more a hairstylist, I would say. I barely do any clients. I'm almost don't do clients like so. And if I get to do very, my close friends' hair or very close people, I do their hair. Otherwise, I don't do appointments anymore. So typically now it's more like a corporate job for me, uh, where my day begins at about 9:30, ends by about 5:36. I am either I'm remotely working or I'm at work. My current job involves a lot of development of products, because obviously I work for a product company, so a lot to do with innovation, a lot to do with reinventing the existing products, a lot to do with how the product is moving around in the market. So not it is not GT, because these are professional products. It doesn't go in the GT market, but
Mhm.
it goes to customers who are hairstylists, right? So to understand that pulse. So ours is more like a B2B business, right? So our customers are not the end users. It is the hairstylist or the salon owners. So to understand their pulse is very important. And I guess my experience of about 2 decades of being a hairstylist or in this industry works really well. It works, it really empowers me to understand the pulse of the customer, who's our salon owners or the hairstylists. So the typical day is a typical day for everyone else who goes to work.
So I think, Shailesh, you mentioned, right, how at least back then there were not enough resources, opportunities available for somebody to get into a field like this. While in today's world, there is a lot of salon, right? So like training schools. So if I want to get into this field, can you also give me an idea in terms of how do I go about it? What is the cost, approximately cost involved, what I can expect for me?
So right now there are many options. I would say, I mean, anyone who wants to get into this industry, they're spoiled for options, right? There are so many academies, like so many, like, and each I would not want to name the academies, but there are many academies. But again, there are tiers, right? There is tier one, tier two, tier three. So tier one are the premium ones, where you have like where the price range for a course for about 6 months would cost you around 2.5, 3 lakhs. Okay. Those are like tier ones, like premium Uber ones. And then there are, tier two and tier three. So tier two is like about, standalone salons who have their chains, right? They have opens about 10 chains of their own salon, and then they have one academy. Because they have 10 chains, they need one academy, is because it's also like a staff churning out mechanism for them. Is because if they have 10 salons, they have one academy. So every time someone comes to their academy to get trained, they can tell them saying that, oh, you know what, if you do our course, you will also get placed in one of our salons. So that's
Mm.
kind of a good catch for
Yeah.
a selling point for a lot of people. Like I said, in my situation, when I did my course, I didn't know where to go, right? I didn't know what next, where will I get a job. So when you have like couple of salons under your name in the same brand, and then you have an academy, so whoever joins, they are more confident that they will get some job, at and there's always a requirement in this industry. So those are tier two, and tier three are like standalone salons where they, I would like in a C town or a B town, there is someone uh, uh, like say a widow who doesn't know anything. Suddenly she's, her husband has passed away and uh, they don't know what to do. And this doesn't need any academics, right? So people like to do like home business, like I'll do a parlor at home. So they want to learn like basics like threading, waxing, or basic haircuts, or just a basic touch up, root touch up kind of a color. So for those people, there are academies like, standalone academies, which are like 20, 30,000, and they teach them. So there are different tiers, and it depends on your paying capacity. Where do you want to go? Now, even if you have more than this, then you obviously have the there are, and like I said, you are spoiled for option. You can go beyond India. You can go to places like UK, which is highly, highly recommended for hairdressing. And yeah, US and UK are the two main uh, uh, places where a lot of creative stuff happens, a lot of hair fashion starts. Okay. I did my course from UK and US post my course in use because I wanted to upgrade about 3 years, 4 years later. When you have enough experience and you want to upgrade your skills, you normally go abroad and do that. So there are people, I mean, if you are not okay, happy with the content here, then you obviously can go abroad, do your stuff there, come back or stay back there. Uh, So varieties are unimaginable now. So a lot of options.
And in terms of lifestyle, like you mentioned, like at least back then, after the school, also you have to train, let's say, under somebody or work under somebody. Again, during that time, you are not paid for it, right? Is that the case today, or is it like, once you finish your 6 month, 7 month, whatever training period, you also start earning a little bit to sustain yourself?
So it is, I would not say it is like that. It depends. It is subjective.
Okay.
Uh, if you do it from a big, uh, say tier one,
Mhm.
okay, because the brands are very aspirational and people want to say that I did it from this particular brand, then of course, they will not give you placement. They'll say, boss, I mean, it's up to your skill. So you go out there, we'll give you some leads and you can scout for yourself. And obviously, if they also, so, and again, for the next example is if I have a chain of salon,
Hmm.
okay, and I'm very popular in the market and you've done my course.
Hmm.
I would promise you a job, but I would not promise you a certain amount
Okay.
because you need experience, so you
Hmm.
need to work for free. Okay.
Hmm.
But there are many other salons or many other brands who do pay assistants a certain stipend because, of course, in this world and age, uh, you cannot survive it without having anything, right?
Yeah.
So, and also, you don't have stability if you don't pay someone. So they
Okay.
may come today, they may not come tomorrow, or they may come, they may just randomly say, I'm coming late. So the stability is not there. So once you pay someone,
Hmm.
the organization do understand that if I pay someone, that person is held responsible and I'll have some stability with that person. So it's a mix. Some people do pay, some people don't pay. It depends on what brand you're working with, who is in need, whether you want to be with the brand or brand wants you, then it's a different situation.
Shailesh, you have been a creative director as well. Could you explain what does a creative director do?
So creative director, is more responsible for creative stuff. Like say there is some trend. Okay.
Hmm.
So for example, balayage hair color was a big trend, is a big trend even now.
Hmm.
So if there's a balayage hair color, how do you incorporate that into your kind of people who are under you or reporting to you, or the whole kind of whole team which reports to you? Okay, so obviously the whole team of hairdressers were there. So if I, for example, if I was at Lakme as a national head, so the trends, the collections which are introduced, what collection should go into the salons, what is the stylist supposed to tell the client, what is trending, what new a stylist can offer to the client. Because the end user is my client, right? Like you and Toshika, if they go to the
Mhm.
salon, the first thing you sit on the chair, you'll ask, okay, what's different? I did this last time. So what is new? What is trending? So the stylist should be knowing what is happening, what is trending, what colors are there, what colors will suit X particular individual or a Y particular individual. So they should have that know-how and they should know how to deliver this, right? So creative director not only sets in the trend, also sees that a stylist is able to do a right consultation, do suitability kind of, test on the client, not just give because it is trending.
Mhm.
So all this comes under a creative director's umbrella. But also creative is also because there is also one part is a major part of any organization is business. A
Mm.
smaller part is also fashion. Okay.
Right.
So there are two parts. Like obviously we survive because there is business, but this
Mhm.
smaller part is fashion. But I would not say which is important. Of course, both are important because if there is no fashion, you can't do business. If there is no business, you can't do fashion, right? So there has to be some uh, creative vision to whichever brand you're working with. Without that glamour, that glitz, things are not going to be sold, right?
Mhm.
Though the clients, whatever they see on internet or whatever it might be, pop color, it might be creative purple blue color, they might see from outside and they might be very very intrigued or very interested to come in and check. They maybe most of the time they will not agree to do it, but they will come because it looks highly glamorous or very fashionable. Okay,
Mhm.
we know that most 90% of the clients will not do it. But then the reason for them to come inside is because your salon or the way you look or anything you put up there looks very glamorous, right?
Right.
So that's why you need to have a right balance. So that's where the creative directors vision comes in. They are the
Mhm.
ones who tell you, okay, this is what we need to put it out there for clients to see us that we are a fashion brand, right?
Right.
However basic one person may be. I would say, for an example, uh, I I met one doctor. Okay, while consulting, he asked me, what do you do? So I said, I'm a hairdresser. So the immediate question was, what do you suggest for my hair? What do I do? How do I look different? So, as serious as a doctor, as serious profession as a doctor, even a doctor wants to look fashionable, right? So,
Yeah.
whatever it takes, fashion is going to be in everyone's, mind. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to look like dull and boring and like a rag picker. Everyone wants to look fashionable. But yeah, everyone's fashion quotient or kind of fashion percentage differs from person to person. But
Mhm.
everyone wants to look nice. Nobody wants to look ugly, is what my um, take is. And that's where the creative people in the industry they come in.
What's the difference between a good hairdresser and an average hairdresser?
So basically, a trainer or a hairdresser, whoever you're engaging with, you need to understand the audience.
Right.
The trainer's audience are the hairdressers, and the
Right.
hairdresser's audience are their clients. Okay. So if the trainer is training a hairdresser and not able to put across why this color, why you should not use this color on X person, or what is the importance of this ingredient in the hair. If the trainer is not able to explain the hairdresser and the hairdresser is not able to accept it, then the trainer is not a good trainer, right? Now, if a trainer is explaining everything in English and he has not even bothered to check the audience is are able to understand Hindi or English, that means it's gone. From word go, they have got it wrong. So that's the smartness or the tactness, the tactfulness of a trainer, which a trainer
Yep.
needs to have to understand the audience, to understand the pulse of the. That's my cat. Understand the pulse of the hairdresser, and similarly, the hairdresser has to understand the client. The
Right.
That's why uh, there is a session which we call a consultation session. When the
Okay.
client sits on the chair, there is a brief 2 or 3 minute consultation session which hairdresser has with the client to understand the client. What is the client? What the client needs? What is the lifestyle they lead? Uh, how much time do they spend on themselves? Okay, so there are certain questions which open-ended questions which we teach a hairdresser to ask the client so that he is able to analyze, okay, whether this client. So we ask about the profession of the client. We ask about how often do they, style their hair at home, or what do they hate about their hair. So all these are, questions which gives us information on what the clients doesn't like and what the client likes. So depending on that, then he has to design something as per the client's likes and not about the dislikes. So for example, if a client says I'm a doctor and the client has not said, or I'm a dentist, for example, and he knows she's a dentist and she is clueless, right? She is doing a haircut for the first time. She doesn't know what is a fringe. If she says, I want a fringe, my friend did it, a smart hairdresser would say, so, ma'am, I would not recommend this because you being a dentist that you have said, this will bother you because this will keep coming while you work. Are
Yeah.
you ready to handle it by, putting it away, clipping it up? If you're okay to do it, then I would recommend. If you're not okay to do it, then I would say you should skip it and I'll suggest you something else which you can, have at the same time. So that would be a smart hairdresser. So, and obviously, if I put this out to you, if you get a smart hairdresser, you'll always go back to a smart hairdresser who has, picked up on the smallest point that you've shared with them. And you would want, I mean, that trust is built. And the next time you'll just blindly sit on the chair and then you know that this person is genuine and he has recommended you everything, listening to what every detail you have shared. And this is a difference of a good hairdresser and an average hairdresser. Average hairdresser would say, okay, ma'am, you want a fringe, I will give you a fringe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, ma'am, aap ye kar lo. So that's a difference, So that is a rare find. It's just a good salesman versus a bad salesman. I would say it's the same. Everyone is selling something. Is it
Yeah.
if it is a hairdresser, a doctor, a vegetable vendor, we are all selling something. So it is a good salesman versus a bad salesman. But yeah, a salesman with empathy will always be good. A salesman with zero empathy is always going to be bad.
Okay. And have you, like, I am assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that you have handled clients of different genders as well, right? Both
Mhm.
men, women, right, and others. So, in your experience, what have you noticed as the biggest difference when you're styling, the hair, let's say, of a woman versus if you're styling the hair of a man?
That I would say I don't want to be I don't want to be like, what would I say? Uh,
Uh-huh.
uh, so it's given, right? I don't know if I would say this, but women are more picky, right? They are,
Yeah.
I would say not picky, but I would say they are very detailed. Okay,
Hmm.
whatever you say. So if in my house, right, if I have a maid
Hmm.
versus having a maid uh, whose boss is a woman,
Hmm.
right, versus a maid whose boss is a male.
Hmm. Hmm.
So for my maid, I think it's a gala time because I never enter the kitchen. I never see what she's doing.
Yeah.
So she just comes, does her stuff, and she zooms off. Like versus if she was made for any of my other family member, for my sister, they will stand on the head, right? Okay, do this way, do this that way. I don't like it this way. So that's the kind of change. So I think I made it very clear. So if it is a female, they would want, not everyone, but largely female are very more detailed oriented. They want it in a certain way, or they have references. They know what they want, right? Most of the time. Uh, and if they're not sure, then it is even more difficult because you have to convince them that it is looking good.
Yes.
Mm.
So, yeah, women are more difficult as compared to men. Men are quick, okay? They just
Huh.
want to get it done because it is for men, it is not something which is will bother them, right? Okay. If it is not, also for the fact is that I don't feel women are uh, picky or detailed for some wrong reason. It's also because the length of the hair, if someone is really messed up with the length, then it takes ages for that to grow back. Okay.
Yep.
As compared to man or as compared to men, uh, it takes about 4 weeks. Yeah.
Hmm.
So for 4 weeks, they don't bother. They'll wear a hat or a cap. If it is really bad, they'll wear a hat, cap, something, and it grows out. So for them, it is not big. Well, if you ask me, if my haircut goes wrong, I'll just wear a cap or a tie, a pony, or whatever, right?
Mm.
But for females, I would say that it becomes quite a emotional, emotionally they are very challenged when something is not what they want it in a particular way. It is not happening that way. Then, so maybe that is the reason they are being very, very picky, or they don't want to take that risk, or they want to be doubly sure. So that's why I feel like women are more particular than men are. But it's not that men aren't. Nowadays, at this age and time, men have become equally particular, or
You can
rather,
say
or
that.
rather more particular than women nowadays, because now the metrosexual men that are out there are are can give you a tough time.
Yeah. I was going to say that because at least when I look at my friends, some of my friends are way more particular than me about how their hair looks and what's happening with them. Okay.
Yeah, but I think I made my point. Like, now it is not gender, because we can't be gender biased now anymore. So it's very individual opinion now.
Yeah.
I want to ask a reverse question. Why is it that as a client, as a female client, they generally gravitate towards a male hairdresser versus that of a female hairdresser? Or is it just because there are more number of men who are there in the hair industry?
I actually don't think. But if you see, I mean, I do have a lot of women client than male client.
Mm.
And I have a female colleague who is my best buddy, and she used to have a lot of male and less female. Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know what's the reason. Honestly, even it's kind of a googly for me, but I have never really g- uh, thought about it. But yes, it is. Uh, for men, definitely when a woman is styling their hair, it is, they like to, I think it's human nature. They like to be around women, right? It's always opposite attracts. And when female, this is my opinion. It may not be true, but so female to female bonding is very less, right? So also a lot of females don't like to open up to another female, thinking that they may judge them, you know,
Mm.
or what if she gossips about me to some other one, right?
Mm.
So I feel that bonding happens with male. They feel that, okay, male normally don't have the tendency to judge or to, go and talk about them to someone else. Is what the I think that is the kind of perception people have. And for male going, gravitating towards female is obviously because they want to, have a woman's touch, or they want to talk about their lifestyle to another female. So Maybe that is the reason I've not really thought about it.
Uh, till now, like in especially when it comes to the hair industry, right? You have always been ahead of the curve, and you have always have been at the right opportunities. And I also believe, having worked with you, especially say in some of the projects that we came up with, I
Mm,
think you knew before it was in the market that this is how things will look like in the next year or 2 years ahead. So,
mm.
what is it that differentiates you versus that of other people in the industry?
I, I don't know what will differentiate me, but I would say no, I can't comment on others what they do, but I keep in trend. I keep myself updated with all the news, what is happening globally, what is happening nationally. I keep myself updated in terms of what is going to be the next boom, what is going to be the next trend, what will the clients like, okay, what is going to work to Indian context. So I think it has worked in my favor.
What are, since you talked about, right, that you constantly follow the Indian and the international market, what are the some of the like key differences in hairstyling trends currently in India versus abroad?
So major which comes off to my mind is the hair trend, which is hair botox or the keratin or the straightening, which
Mm,
used to happen some 2 decades back or a decade back. This was always a major trend in India. Okay.
mm, mm,
Uh, India, and I would say a market like Africa, right?
mm,
Where our hair is wavy, curly.
mm.
So it's always people don't like what they have, right? You always want something different. If
Yeah,
you're dark, you want to become fair. If you're fair, you want to become tan, right?
yeah,
If your hair is straight, you want it curly. If your hair is curly, you want it straight. So that's how human tendency. Nobody can change that. Okay. No study can change it. That is how it is. That is how humans are. So that's the basics, right? So you just need to know what will work. Like if you know your market is largely wavy hair, right?
mm,
So any product which makes the hair smoother, straighter, or frizz free. Frizz again is a big problem across India, right?
mm,
Apart from certain states or certain cities or states up north.
mm,
Apart from there, rest of India is always humid, right?
mm,
Most of the time humid. So humid brings in frizz to the hair. So frizz is always frizz, smooth, straight, thick, long. These are all the keywords which will work in India, right? So any product which deals with any of this pain points is always going to be a hit in India, right?
mm,
So the straightening product or the hair botox, all this which is taking care of frizz and wavy curly hair
mm,
is flying off the shelf. Okay,
mm,
and it will always do so,
mm.
right? Things which don't work in India is perm. Perm is has absolutely
Yeah,
become obsolete, right? At some point of time, 2 decades back, we used to still have clients and products available in the market, perm products. But now there are no player in the market who has perm, who brings in perm products because there is no sale. People don't do it. Whereas in the West, perm is a big industry because they have thin hair.
mm,
Because they have thin hair and they need volume, they need waves and curls in the hair. Okay, they don't like straight lanky hair. So that's as simple as it. Like, you give to the market what they need.
yeah,
Because they have thin hair, they need hair extensions, right? They need eyelash extensions.
mm,
They need eyebrow extensions,
mm,
right? Not eyebrow extensions, they need eyebrow tinting because they have fine, thin hair. Okay, they need eyelash extensions because they have very again fine hair. So this West and European countries always are a sucker for all this kind of extensions and volume and big hair. This is what is their key. points. Like these are their uh, if you go Google and search in the West, what do they search for? They search for all this stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
But we don't. I mean, if you want to sell hair extension to a South Indian female, she's not gonna buy. And they already have thick hair, right? If you're gonna sell eyelash extensions to any of normal looking Indian women, they're not gonna buy because we all are blessed with good lashes, right? Good eyebrows, thick eyebrows, dark eyebrows. If you're gonna say I'm gonna tint your eyebrows, you're not gonna agree to it because you already have defined thick, dark eyebrows. So you're not the TG, you're not the client. So you're selling a comb to a bald person. So it's like that. So I don't think it's some rocket science. It's like any basic person will know this.
Mm.
I also wanted to ask, I think this is for the audience in general, that is there something on a day-to-day habit that they can create for their hair so that an Indian audience can have a good hair? One step that they can follow.
One step which they need to follow is do a shampoo followed by conditioner, which I don't think 85% of the audience knows it. Uh,
Hmm.
they feel only shampoo is what we need to do. Okay. So there's a lot of change which has happened, the audience, people have the Indian audience have got educated from not using a soap on your hair to starting to use a shampoo or a face wash for their face, right?
Yeah.
So now soap has become obsolete. Like soap, nobody uses, right? I mean, of course, in B, C tier cities, people do use, but I don't think in C tier the category, cities also people are using soap on the hair now because now there are sachets available, right? Shampoo sachets, which is economical, which is like they don't need to stock it. They can just go buy 2 rupee ka shampoo to do it twice in a week or once in a week and then do it. What people are not aware is that a conditioner needs to be followed immediately because that is a regime which we need to do. Okay, a shampoo and a conditioner. If everyone starts using conditioner post their wash, I mean, most of the problems which they have, like the roughness, the frizziness, that will get resolved. That is
Hmm.
what I think one thing people should do. And that's a big ask though.
What's the like biggest myth about your job or your industry?
Biggest myth about it's they feel it is very fancy, they feel it is very glamorous. It is not so.
Okay.
It is very taxing. It is very hard because you have to be on the floor, you have to be standing. If you are a very good, successful hairdresser, a popular hairdresser, you will be working 10 to 12 hours because minimum 10 hours because
Hmm.
you have clients back to back. Your services can get delayed because you can't project it, like you can't see how much I can't give you a cutoff time, right? If I start a color, if your hair is has some history, past history, it may take 2 hours, it may take 5 hours, depending. So it's not like a 9 to 5 job where you after 5 you can just log off and you know push off. It's not like that. Hairdresser's job may look very glamorous. Yeah, it is glamorous because you meet a lot of people, you attend a lot of glamorous parties, you have a lot to do as a hairdresser if you want to. uh but at the same time it's not easy. It is quite taxing. It is hard because physically you have to stand. A lot of hairdressers in about 10 to 15 years start having issues like cervical issues or back issues, lower back issues and all that.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I feel that it's quite a tough job. And you go without lunch, you go without your meal. Sometimes you don't have your lunch, you have straight your dinner, which is good in a way. Nowadays we all do 16 hours fasting, so I think we used to naturally do that at our time. Yeah.
What's maybe if you could share one moment that you're the most proud of in your professional journey?
which I am most proud of. Uh, with the client experience.
Anything in your like could be client experience, could be something you did, you learned, whatever.
Well, I'm most proud of is one thing that we had for Lakme, we had collaborated with one of our international, one of the most known international hairdresser. She's also an icon, and she's someone who I look up to. I think she's 65 right now, and I'm not sure what her age is, but she's in her 60s or so, but she is so on point. Her name is Winnie Lou, and she's so on point. She is an inspiration for every hairdresser. That at that age also you can look so great. She's so well maintained,
Wow.
and she's even now she cuts hair and she does clients, and she's so full of energy. Like I am really amazed I mean, to have worked with her, and I think our energies did work well with each other. And she liked, I mean, I truly believe in energy. Like you gravitate towards people who are like you, right? So I think when we collaborated and we worked, she really liked my way of working or whatever she liked. So she invited me for an international hairdressing festival as a guest for the first year. And since then, I every year I go there as a jury member from India.
Wow.
So this happens in Shanghai every year. I have not gone for 2 years during COVID, 2 or 3 years during COVID, but it's happened since 2015, and last year I was there. The last year was the first time after COVID I've gone. So it's like a reunion of all the hairdresser from all around the world. So we have, uh, you know, very great personalities coming from different zones like Taiwan, Philippines, Australia. I am from India and Sri Lanka, and she's Winnie Lou is from Malaysia. So she was the founder of this um, organization called Asian Hairdressing Association. So for me, that was the most proud moment that I got invited because she saw some spark or some thing in me which she thought that I should be there representing India there. So that is a pride. The most proudest moment for me since then I've been continuing to do. I don't lose any opportunity to not go there every.
Yeah,
Shailesh, could you throw some light into what happens in these events?
So it's like the name suggests, it's called Asian Hairdressing Association, and it's called Asian Hairdressing Festival, which happens under this association. So they invite everyone from Asia. Obviously, from India, nobody has participated because it takes a lot of money, right? You have to pay for your ticket, you have to pay for the models' tickets and all those. But there are a lot of participants from Philippines, from obviously from China, Shanghai, and from uh, Taiwan, Malaysia. So all these Asian cities, countries, people are allowed to participate in this. And then obviously it's a big event. There are about in we have about 3 to 4 competition. One is for the elite class, which are the senior ones. One is for the junior ones who have just entered hairdressing for 2, 3 years, and one elite is like 5, 6 years. Then there is a barbering session. So there are 3, 4 events such a competition happens, and uh, there are about 150 participants in each session, and who are shortlisted from so many entries that they get, and they are supposed to perform live, and we are judging them. There are about 20 odd judges from different countries, and we judge them, and then there is a winner from there. And then there are hair shows and all those gambit happens.
wow. I think I had no idea something like this happens.
Yeah, this happens in hairdressing. I mean, I think it happens in it's like an expo.
Expo, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's like an expo. Yeah, and it's like an expo. No, it is an expo. Now they also have started, all these different brands participate. They put up their stalls, and in one part of the thing, the competition happened. One part of the thing, there's an expo happen.
That'll be pretty exciting to be there.
Yeah, it's like one fashion week for 2, 3 days. Like, everyone is very well dressed.
Yeah.
It's like all sort of street fashion comes under one. Like, it's amazing. Like, it just like wow.
As somebody who is a leader in this industry, what trends do you predict which will impact the hairdressing of the fashion industry in the next 5 to 10 years?
So trends, I don't think I can predict any trends. The trends actually we work closely, hair and makeup works closely with designers, right? Fashion designers. So the trend comes are inspired by the designers. So
Okay.
if there is a designer, say, who's coming up, say, with floral collection or something, I'm just putting out, like, I'm giving you some sort of example how uh, the the fashion industry is woven with our makeup and hair industry. So if a designer thinks that the floral or flowy garment is out, I mean, that is what they want to showcase this season, then the hair and makeup has to complement that. So there would be a lot of waves, there are a lot of loose tousled hair sort of thing.
Hmm.
That's how the inspiration. So I mean, people can't predict what is going to happen 2, 3 years or 5 years down the line. But yes, there is some trends are just never going to go out of fashion. Like straight hair never goes out of fashion. Classic bobs never go out of fashion. Right? Fringes never go out of fashion. There may be variation of fringes. Like now there is fringe which is trending. It's called curtain bangs, right? So that is trending, but it is a part of a fringe sort of you know uh, area. So it goes in that bucket. So that some things will never go out of fashion. Waves have always been in fashion. So it depends. Uh, Now what is trending is very textured, the haircut which is called like a wolf haircut or uh, uh, what is the other one? Wolf haircut, and then there's a butterfly layer. So the these are all old things which are repackaged in,
Yeah.
yeah, in new packaging. It is new, uh, uh, you know, nomenclature are used, and for me, it is all the same thing which we used to do for ages. We are doing it even now, but yeah, we are naming it differently.
Okay. And have you worked with celebrities in your journey so far? And if you have, how was that experience different versus working with somebody just some like a normal customer? I don't know how to term. Yeah.
So yeah, we tend to work with celebrities, yes, but I worked in Lacme Fashion Week, so obviously it's full of celebs only. So I work with celebs. It is tough to work with celebs because again, like I said, with clients also, when you come and sit on my chair first time, you're not sure of who I am, what am I going to do, what are my skill sets, right?
Yeah.
So even when you're working with celebs, even they are not sure what you're going to do, what are your skill sets. So the vibes have to match, right?
Mhm.
So it initially it is tough, but if you have cracked it, if you have understood their pulse, and they are confident, or they get that confidence, okay, this one is like serious, this fellow has experience, or she's really good, then they also ease out, right? It's always that first meeting is always tough. Once the situation eases out, I think they're just like another normal human being. Yes, celebs, because they are called celebs, they need a little more attention than normal person.
Yeah.
So you need to know how to work around. And the reason I have not uh, ventured much into that, and I went into training and corporate life and all that, is because I don't think that's my scene. I cannot handle a person that extra I can't give someone that extra which is
Hmm.
not needed, right? So that was not my scene anyway. So that's probably I've not gone into that, ventured
Okay.
into that celeb zone or doing shoots or movies. I had options at my time to do it, but I didn't pick that up. So I prefer to do like more clients, like realistic, real life clients, and more in imparting into training. I like to train. I like to impart my knowledge to others. So I'm good at it. So I know that I can, and I suck at like, pleasing people. So that's why I didn't go there. So so I
Okay.
became a trainer.
So I think it's a conscious choice that you have made based
It's a
on
conscious choice.
experience.
It's always a conscious choice for whoever is doing. So when you have some celeb stylist, it's a conscious choice. They have decided to do it. Probably they are not good at training, or probably they are not good at, they don't want to meet regular people, right?
Hmm.
Maybe that
Hmm.
doesn't interest them. They want to be around glamour. They want to be around celebs. They want that fame, the sort of fame which they get along with the celebs. So people who want that, they consciously want to go there, right?
Hmm.
Because they
Hmm.
want to be around that sort of circle, right?
Hmm.
And people who don't want to, they don't. Like there are people who make potloads of money just doing clients, right? There are people who just do bridal makeup. They charge like in a day, they do 3 or 4 bridal makeup. They charge about 80 to a lakh per bride. They are home. They make more than a celebrity stylist, but then they don't have that glamour. They are not on Instagram. They don't have like 200 million followers. So that's a choice you make. Like do you want followers? Do you want this? I mean, not that people don't make money. All of us we make money, but obviously the kind of volume we do is different from person to person, and that's a conscious choice people will make, and I think people are making that way.
I think before we close, one last question that I would want to ask. If you were to, summarize, like at the end of the day, if you were to define the role of a hairstylist in a single sentence, what would that be?
Passionate.
Passionate. Okay.
You're passionate about your job, everything comes naturally towards you.
I
uh,
think it was a very good discussion overall. I think Toshika especially had a lot of eyebrow raises at a lot of things that you were saying. Uh, Knowing you for the time that we have worked in, I think you are a person that brings that brings structure to creativeness. And I think that is something that is required when you're trying to implement an idea to the masses. So, personally, for me, when I look at you, I see you as a person who can direct a lot of people who are creative to go in a certain path with your vision, right? And apart from that, yes, absolutely. Like I know that if ever I work with you, I can always depend on you. And I will get the honest feedback, and I can also be completely honest with you. And this was great. I mean, I never knew the personal side to you, right? It was majorly work that I had to know. So uh, that is one aspect. Plus, I did not, I thought you were somewhere around in your late 30s. I wasn't aware.
If I didn't know it was going to be a video session, I would have groomed myself better. I
oh.
wouldn't have ever come like this for a video session, but I thought it was going to be a voice session, like a podcast, and I've never knew that. I honestly don't know what's a podcast because I don't follow anyone on podcast. So if whenever this is out, I'll watch my podcast for the first time, I think.
So yeah. Toshika, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, you look great. I don't think you need.
Thank you.
Probably, and you can start with following at the end of the day itself. But I think, what I really liked was your journey in terms of somebody who is open to different things and have that clarity that, hey boss, this doesn't work for me, but this is what I'm good at and I want to do. And following, like I said, passion, following that passion back then, right? I mean, in today's world also, a lot of us get hesitant in following our passion at times, but
Yeah.
back then, having that courage and determination, no, I want to do this because I like doing it. And then figuring out how do I, get there? What is the right fit for me? Which is, I think it's a very inspiring story for somebody who is, if somebody has those second doubts about getting into something that they really want to. So I loved that. And I think before even we catched up, Akila gave me some idea and she told me, you're like very straightforward, honest, direct kind of a person, which I think this conversation was as well. It was easy to talk to you and also understand, because this industry in itself for me personally is very very new, right? So
Yeah.
even the point of there's a expo where people are talking about different styles and trends and all of that hairstyling, it sounds very very exciting and intriguing. So I learned a lot. And yeah, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you. Thank you, Toshika. Thank you, Akila.